Hello and welcome to a new episode of PodTube, an initiative by Pause and Read focused on canine health and well-being. Joining me on today's PodTube is Claude Azih. He's the head groomer at Romi's home pet nursery, and we are going to be talking about itchy skin in dogs. What are the causes, treatments, tips, and more? Claude, a very warm welcome to PodTube. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Claude, it's normal that dogs scratch themselves, but it becomes sort of a concern when that scratching doesn't stop. And there could be various causes ranging from allergy to anxiety. So, since you get to groom a lot of dogs on a daily basis, what are some common causes for itchy skin in dogs, especially in a country like the UAE, where the weather is predominantly hot and it also gets humid some months of the year?
Yeah, like in UAE, for example, my experience in UAE, I think, like you said, the weather is very hot. So most of the causes of itchy skin comes from humidity. When the weather is warm and dogs get to have this sweaty and moisture under the skin, so it gives like a breeding ground for bacteria, which causes things like hot spot and more, like different skin issues. So dogs tend to scratch the skin and make it even worse because dogs don't talk, right? So the only way they can react to these things by scratching or licking. So the humidity causes this heat and warm atmosphere, which gets the skin moist, and so the dogs tend to scratch. So humidity is one of them, and allergy is another common thing in UAE, which comes from food, and chemicals. Most dog owners, they live in villas and stuff. They take the dogs to the pool, take the dogs to the beach, and all this water is clean with chemicals and the food that they consume. Even the garden, when the gardener comes and clean the garden and spray some chemicals and stuff, the dogs go there to play. So these chemicals, they affect them. So they get to have these allergies and food as well. Some people just change the diet for dogs because they like or because they see some new brand of food. Most people just need to like do some research about what the dogs need when it comes to food, especially, and the cheese that they give to the dogs. And when we have friends visiting us and we are dog owners, they tend to come with treats and other things for our dogs just to show some like appreciation or anything, but usually most of them are not good for the dogs. So allergy and the humidity is the two most common things that we have in the UAE that causes this itchy skin. In very rare occasions, we have bacteria and stuff, but allergy and humidity are the most common.
And everything sort of adds up and makes the situation even more complex. Even if for example, even if you come from a point of trying to do the best thing for your dog. So for example, I remember latter half of 2020, I started sort of getting some really good ingredients, and I used to give my dog Coco one meal for and it used to be in the afternoon. I used to give him home cooked meals, and that was just for like 2 weeks. And I noticed, you'll remember, I spoke to you about this as well, and I noticed that he started suffering from itchy skin, and very quickly we sort of tackled it. So even if you come from that point of goodwill, trying to do the best thing for your dog, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, I'm laughing because most of the times we like dog owners, we feel like we are doing the best thing. Usually, the best intention doesn't usually bring the best result. Like we feel like we are giving the best, or we are doing the best for our dogs. Whereas we should be looking into doing what is good for the dog. That's always the confusion. Like maybe if you are eating, let's say you are eating on the table, for example, and the dog is standing there looking at you like, why are you eating all that beef or all that chicken? And you feel like if I don't give the dog some, it looks like you are a bad mom or you're a bad, parent, and you have to give the dog some chicken or some beef, and just to make yourself, feel like you have done something good for your child. But that may not be good for the dog. Maybe the dog is allergic to chicken or to meat or to beef, and maybe after about 2 days or one day, you start getting the result from this food allergy, and the dog starts scratching and all these things. So at times, what is good for the dog is not usually what we think is good for the dog. We have
Absolutely.
to do a research on our dogs because we have different breeds, and these breeds they like different things are good for the skin. Is my dog a double coated dog? Is my dog a single coated dog? Is my dog skin sensitive? Like all these things you need to know about the dog, not just what we feel like is good for the dog.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also importantly, without going down that path of, resorting to medicine as the first, step, what are some ways of treating itchy skin from a grooming perspective? And as a groomer, do you have this step-by-step regimen that you follow while grooming dogs with sensitive skin, itchy skin?
Yeah, like let's say for a dog like yours, like Mr. Popo, I
Yeah.
already understand the dog. I've groomed the dog several times and I know the kind of skin that dog has. But let's assume that I'm meeting the dog for the first time.
Yeah.
So what I do is I check the dog, like I check the skin just to see the kind of skin the dog has, like so maybe if the owner knows some maybe has some past information about the dog, like some skin issues and stuff, it's always good for them to tell me or tell any other groomer that they go to, so we know what to use or what to expect. But for the dogs that I know already, like a couple of other dogs, I know how they are, I know the kind of shampoo to use because I already understand the skin. And maybe for the first time, I don't usually get it right. But once I get it wrong, I try to look for like what was the problem, like what is the cause, like what really happened. Let's say I've had several occasions where I've given a dog and maybe after 2 days they have some skin issues, which means that these dogs they have sensitive skin initially, but I didn't know because it's the first time. So the owner wasn't aware as well. And when this happened, I tried to go back and like, what happened to the dog? After grooming, did the dog eat anything new, or is this just normal? Like, you try to look for the cause, right? So once you get the cause of this thing, then you will know like the exact thing to use on the dog or what the dog should eat. Most of the time, this food allergy will happen, but as a dog owner, if you notice this allergy, the only thing to do is to stop the food, right? You have
Yes.
to stop the food. Yes, you can't keep giving the same thing that is bringing problems and you're taking the dog to the vet. They can't solve this problem. You can solve this problem. So if you know the problem, maybe you can. There's a high possibility that you can sort it out and look for a solution yourself without even consulting the vet at all.
Absolutely. And you pointed towards something interesting. So let's say for dogs, you have, a background for it's easier. You know that,
Yeah,
okay, this, like in our case, okay, Popo's ears can sometimes, again, humidity and long-eared dogs and, some moisture getting trapped, all of that. His paws tend to be sensitive, so that but like you said, first time, when a dog comes to you for grooming for the first time, are there certain steps that you follow? Are there certain products that you use so that it's safe for the dog?
yeah. Let's say for the first time, if I get the opportunity to meet the owner of the dog, I always ask them if there's anything special they do with
Mhm.
the dog or the one. But if I don't get the opportunity to meet these people, I just like by default use an organic shampoo or
Mhm.
hypoallergenic shampoo just so in case the dog is having any skin issue, it won't be a problem. And if by grooming this dog in the process I notice any abnormalities like skin issues, maybe some kind of infection and stuff, the only good thing is in UAE, most of these skin issues they are not like really really serious. In very rare
Okay.
occasions, you find there are
Okay.
skin issues that are serious, like a dog is having a bacterial infection, fungal infection. those ones are serious. Those ones will need medical attention.
Okay.
But in most cases, like the allergy, the humidity, is something that you can always, walk around with. You can always solve it. Like,
Yes.
unless you are really, really scared or you don't know like what is happening, then you can call the vet and stuff. But most of the times, what the vet will do, like most people will say, like what the vet will do if they have this skin issue, the vet will either give them some special food, put them on some diet, give them medicated shampoo. That's the best the vet can do, which is something that you will be able to do if you just like know like this is what happened and I can do this. So the vet will just do the same thing, but because they are professionals, you get to feel like they have done something extraordinary, which is just some things that you could do at home. And most importantly, if we as dog owners, if we are following our yearly vaccinations and we are updating this stuff, most of these things won't even come, because if the dog is healthy and the immunity is healthy as well, most of these things come because of weak immunity, inadequate immunity. So there are things that you need to do yearly for the dog, the vaccines that you need to update and give them yearly for all these pretty like little things. But if you don't do that, then maybe the dog will not be able to, withstand some common infections.
And for the most common causes, for itchy skin again, how long does it typically take for the dog to heal, get some relief, depending on the condition, of course?
Yeah, but it doesn't take long. It just depends on when we notice like the skin infection, if it's an infection or just some common allergy.
Yeah.
So if you notice this allergy in an early stage, which means that it's still beginning, let's say food allergy for one, and food allergy can cause flaky, dry skin and dandruff and all. So if you notice this and you stop the food, and maybe you can use medicated shampoo on the dog one or two times. So it will take maximum like 2 weeks to put everything back to normal. And if it's maybe, let's say, humidity, which kind of brings some heat or rashes or, anything, just groom the dog normally, like don't just give a normal bath, just to keep the dog fresh and the food clean, because naturally we have some bacteria and yeast on our skin. Same with the dogs, we have these bacteria on their skin naturally.
Yeah.
And if the immunity is weak, this bacteria will become an infection. So once you keep them clean frequently, like clean them every now and then, like twice a month or once a month, you don't need to take the dog to the groomer and pay money. Actually, you just need to like keep them back at home. Just keep them clean. Like keep them clean at home. And there's a high chance that you won't get any of these bacteria and skin issues.
But at what point, Claude, do you actually recommend pet parents to get a vet consult done?
When it's like really out of hand, but in most occasions, pet parents can take the dog to the vet if they think that it's a bacterial infection, because bacterial infection will need medical attention, like medicine, actual medicine, antibiotics, and all. But most of these allergies and stuff, they are common things that we can deal with at home if we know the cause of them. Like let's say if you change the diet of your dog and you start getting some reaction, you don't need to take the dog to the vet. We know what happened. So you can either change the diet back or go to a new diet, or. So let's say if you are walking a dog on maybe a sun area, and this dog got some ticks and maybe fleas, So you know what happened if you're living in an area where it's being like newly constructed and sandy or bushy, and you're walking your dog in those areas. So there's a high chance that they'll get like these ticks and fleas on their skin. So if you can just give them a medicated bath or tick and flea bath at home, this problem will be solved. You don't need to take them to the vet to get some medicine or anything. Unless you think that it's a bacterial infection which the dog has contracted from other dogs or from some stagnant water or dirty water, or you take the dog to the beach, or you just feel like it's a bacteria or something, then you can take the dog to the vet.
And since you've been speaking a lot about home remedies, I'll take that as my last question. If you could please share three safe and easy tips for pet parents to sort of care for their dog's itchy skin at home.
At home, anyway, it's just different cycle. It depends on the cause. You know what I mean? Like if you can find out the cause of this problem, let's say it's a food allergy. The best home remedy is to stop the food. Like it's just the common sense. But I know that some poor parents they are like really, really scared. Like when anything happens to the dog, anything extraordinary, like they get so scared and they're unable to think straight. You know, so they get to make some actions like call the vet, call this person, call this person. So you just have to look around you first because 99% of the things that happens to our dogs are from our environment. So the first thing to do is to look around you, like what changed. It is dog eating a new food. Maybe has this dog gone to a place that he has never gone before? Did the gardener come in yesterday and maybe clean the garden and spray something on the garden? Like just look at the environment, like what changed actually. So the best thing to do if a dog is having like if a dog is licking the paw or is having some kind of redness on skin, there are many things that you could apply there at home. Apart from fusidine, which everybody knows, you can also dilute apple cider vinegar with water and clean the spot. This will take away the redness and the dry skin as well. Coconut oil equally works. You can also like apply a little bit on the skin, or you can put a little bit on your hand and just like rub the skin. It keeps the coat
Mm.
healthy. That's something you can do at home. And salmon oil equally works, but you have to put with the food maybe after every day, not continuously after every day. Just mix a little bit like a teaspoon with the food and the dog will eat. It's equally good for the heart and immunity and everything. So you just have to do this like regularly. For the salmon oil, it's good to do it like on a regular basis, even if the dog is having an issue or not. Like just make it a habit to give the dog salmon oil with the food every after each day or 2 days or 3 days. Just make it a habit. Like we keep the dog healthy and immunity good, and the dog will be good in general.
Sure. Thank you so much for joining me, Claude, and sharing some really useful insights.
Thank you so much for having me. Hope we meet again some other time.
Pleasure. Been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.